through. But here I'm so terrified, all that I'm through. So I cross my world and I know tonight that you're always gonna give me one more fright. And yeah, I've been down a million times, but I know you're gonna give me one more fright. Try to run away, but somehow I keep on seeing you around. If it's not a hole in the wall, you've put a redstone torch down. Every day I find myself always checking behind my back. Love her everywhere, yeah, I wish I could say it was a hack. Yeah, but oh man, here we go again, here we go again. Doing what you do, yeah, I stop pretending and pretending it's not really you. No, I don't wanna believe that it's all true, yeah. But here I'm so terrified, all that I'm through. So across my world and I know tonight that you're always gonna give me one more fright. And yeah, I've been down a million times, but I know I'm gonna
give it a sec to load up.
give me one more fright. Yeah, gonna give me one more fright. Yeah, gonna give me one more fright. Yeah, gonna give me one more fright. But oh man, here we go again, doing what you do. Yeah, I stop pretending it's not really you. No, I don't wanna believe that's all true. Yeah, 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 yeah. So across my world and I know tonight that you're always gonna give me one more fright. And yeah, tonight a million times.
Let's fix that real quick.
Nah, he ain't real.
Yeah, I reckon there are some skipped frames. Thank you, you're so helpful. Come on, load up. Here. Okay, now let's adjust the thing because it decided to be a dick. There we go. Haha, we have it back. Okay, give me like 2 seconds. Alright, here we go. Yeah, we're having some issues, needless to say. Into the spooky cave, sounds like we're not alone. You probably live down there. Okay, yes, this is all lovely, but I need actual stone. Where's the actual stone? Nope, really nothing? God damn it. Nope. Okay. Well, we're in a nice area. We've got some nice resources. We just don't. another dead end. We're digging for stone because life sucks ass. This is actually a nice location. It's just we need stone. Oh, okay. That was a hole. Rotten little bastards. God, that was way too many babies. God damn it, those are creepers. God damn it, god damn it. Thank you. Yep, I see you. Go ahead. Blow up, thank you. That was very convenient for me, actually. Okay. Swear to God, where is the fucking stone? There is not stone, there is other kinds of stone, like diorite and shit around me, but there is not like actual stone, which is what I need. Come on. There's what I need. I'm looking for cobblestone. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Diggy diggy hole. Okay, let's see if we can't listen to the music again. Alright, you can switch back over to the YouTube chat.
When the days are ending and iron's melting, the dreams we see while we're sound asleep, and the thieves' chain mail help them tread through hell. All of my traps failed, now my horse runs stale. I wanna hide my stuff so they won't have a clue, 'cause fate has not been kind. Need a place they won't find. Even when they don't need, they still are made of greed. How could I be so dumb? How could I be so dumb? I put it in my house, I thought it would be safe. It's where my diamonds hide. It's where my diamonds hide.
Don't get too close. I put traps inside.
It's where my
Diamonds hide. It's where my diamonds hide. Listened and moved my chest and I crafted weapons.
you won't
Suspect.
And I dug a hole, then I set my trap. When you think you've won, justice will be done. And you won't get my stuff, 'cause you don't have a clue. And finally fate's been kind, 'cause you blew up this time. Even when you don't need, you still are made of greed. This time I won't be dumb. This time I won't be dumb. It won't go in my house, but somewhere else that's safe. It's where my diamonds hide. It's where my diamonds hide. Don't get too close. I put traps inside. It's where my diamonds hide. It's where my diamonds hide. You don't know how you died. All you can do is cry, 'cause you don't know where my diamonds hide. Explosion was so loud, I heard it from my house. You ought to know by now, I'll never show you how. I put it in my house, I thought it would be safe. It's where my diamonds hide. It's where my
Spider.
diamonds hide. Don't get too close, I put traps inside. It's where my diamonds hide. It's where my diamonds hide.
Just checking to make sure it's not skipping any frames. Seems to be doing good.
I don't know if you know, but I'm actually a nice guy. I don't know if you know, I'm not that, I'm just grieving. I don't know if
Oh, hey, G.
I'm just trying to
You can listen to me sing badly. Let me introduce myself. I'm just a crazy griefer. I love these songs. Alright. But seriously, we need to, like, get our ass up above ground. Actually, let's skip that song. There we go. So, we had to go a fuckways down to find stone, so now we have to go a fuckways back up to save our ass. But the upside is we found like a ton of iron around here. Closet full of secrets and skeletons awaits but nothing's true.
I used to own a castle, now it's boxes that I have to move. Right here in the darkness, there's nothing left for me to do.
Okay, it is dark above ground. Building a house right now might not be the best idea.
Today we got to cast the shadows out from sight. A final stand, a shouting cry. All the wrongs now turn to right. So fight the past, take back the night, and call upon the torch tonight to bring out all the ghosts to light. Because the life we have to go, it's time to take back the night. Bridges burning, broken on different sides. We start anew. Being chased by monsters to face head on.
Yeah, the stream's doing okay.
Or be consumed. Reaching out for something, grasping onto nothing to lose. Payback's left too long unpaid, but today we got to cast the shadows out from sight. A final stand, a shouting cry. All the wrongs now turn to right. So fight the past, take back the night, and call upon the torch tonight to bring out all the ghosts to light. Because the life we have to go, it's time to take back the night. To take back the night. To take back the night. To take back the night.
Yeah, it was there. Okay. You get very ecstatic about my singing. Where was it?
So fight the past.
There it was.
Take back the night. Take back the night.
1, 2, 3.
Take back the night.
Actually, let's do it by 4.
Take back the night.
I love that mod.
And call upon the torch tonight to bring out all the goals to light. Because the last we have to go. It's time to take back the night. To take back the night.
Because I sing terribly, actually. But y'all are just really biased.
To take back the night. To take back the night.
God damn it, come on. That's why. God damn it, see, this is what I'm trying not to do.
Hunger Games, I wanna win, I win it all. I wanna win all day. I'm not teaming, I'm not teaming. You should've learned how to play. Yes, I win
I hate
it
you.
all, so I win it all. I wanna win all day. I'm not teaming, I'm not teaming. You should've seen my
Alright, we have
last
to cut down
Hunger
that tree.
Games.
Rude tree. I object to this shameful declaration that I am cute. Y'all are just biased.
Decision. One more diamond or an iron sword. I'm searching for food for. Eat it or die health bar. Old apple help regenerate. My rep begins to resonate. Your friends and mates might show me, but if I kills, I'm the president. I want your gear, I get it. And I get your friends, fans see me in the lobby. I should start my own clan. Yo, they love to see me team, but all I do is slay. In every Hunger Games, man, you should've learned to play.
Too high pace for what I'm doing though. Okay, come on. Oh, enchanted sounds nice. Where did you see a sheep? Speaking of, I need to start getting some up, actually. Okay.
I'm waking up, I need
Silk touch.
and
I really do need silk touch, but it's so annoying and difficult to get.
villagers, I'm ready to go. I've got experience, my table's up. I've been through forests and the desert's dust. This is it, it's time to level up. Oh, upgrade my sword, my armor and my bow. I mine and watch my levels grow. I've only made it halfway, but I'm fighting zombies. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Whoa, but now I'm enchanted, but now I'm enchanted. I've made my trade, I fought my foes, giving up experience and emeralds. Mine countless blocks, so I can win. Whoa. Unbreaking 2 and sharpness 1. I finally have a sword that doesn't suck. This is it, it's time to level up. Oh, upgrade my sword, my armor and my bow. I mine and watch my levels grow. I've only made it halfway, but I'm fighting zombies. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Whoa, but now I'm enchanted, but now I'm enchanted. All night I fought, I still haven't died. Thanks to my tools, I feel enchanted all the time. Upgrade my sword, my armor and my bow. I mine and watch my levels grow. I've only made it halfway, but I'm fighting zombies. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Whoa, but now I'm enchanted, but now I'm enchanted.
When you load your world and the bells all burn and the players you see are all sprinting off. When your tools all fail and the mines we trail are the last of all. When your sword is frail, I want to hide to prove, I want to savor you, but with the mobs outside, there's nowhere you can hide. No matter where I've been, I still was made to breathe. My name is Herobrine, my name is Herobrine. When you see me near, look into my eyes. I have a diamond heart, I have a diamond.
I do not like Jiggles right now. I'd love to know where you saw a sheep because I really need one. Come on, thank you. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to pick my texture back. Give me a sec, I have notes.
Don't want to burn it down, but I am hellbound. Though this is not all new, don't want to hide from you. No matter where I've been, I
I love it that one of my notes is just stone hurts to look at, so textured, and it's like, yeah, that's actually very important to me. It's just like, can I see it? No. Okay, maybe Invictus. Let's see how Invictus looks. It's gonna load up real quick. It's gonna load. Take your time, don't worry, I know, you take forever. I cannot wait till my PC gets here. Sorry, that is me tapping. Oh god, no. Oh, wow. I amend that. We're not using Invictus. My notes lied, actually. It's not gonna work for me. Knowing me, I'll probably end up settling on Mythic or something. Oh, what am I building? Well, technically nothing right now. I'm trying to survive. Really? You're the same? You're just as bad? That's... Yeah, we're using Mythic. Got it. Oh, when is what coming? Yeah, I like this.
When I see your name appear, I can't help but smile. Like the polished face of diamonds, you can't help but shine. You make my every heartbeat explode like the creepers do. Never lonely, never lonely, never lonely when I'm with you. Spend our time stacking stones by the bay, side by side like the blocks that we lay. Any day is a perfect day. Minding away when we build together, you and me. A note black band inside my head plays a melody. I wish we'd leave a
Alright. Map southeast.
that girl is crafty.
Yeah, okay.
Under the square sun we make a house and call it home. And when it sets you light my night, you are my glowstone. I got my sword and bow to protect you, so don't lose sleep. Never worry, never worry, never worry.
Hello, wild deer. I will definitely be coming back for you.
By the bay, side by side like the blocks that we lay. Any day is a perfect
lake's not far. There's my house. Oh shit, that was... Skeleton, nope. Oh, I can't run, that's why. No, do not shoot me in the ass. Do not shoot me in the ass. Do not shoot me in the ass. Look, just because you don't get some doesn't mean you have to take it out on me. No, I need a stone hoe, thank you. This fight. Well, actually, I meant to pull that over here, so we're gonna try this again. Yeah, I'm pretty picky about my music. Oh, the Dan Bull song? There we go. 206, 206. Here we go. Alright, we have a few minutes until the sun comes up, so in the meantime, we go. This song, G. It's loading, sorry.
I'm a creeper, Minecraft's grim reaper, blowing up blocks like Al-Qaeda. I'm not a creature that'll eat ya, but I'll leave you petrified. Peace of my mind, peace of mind, sweeper. Take another break and you die in the deep. I'll find your mind and my mind. Reading under mine is finders keepers. Oh hi, I'm a creeper, so nice, nice to meet you, but time is time to leave and tick tock, tick tock. Boom, boom, boom. I can't stop singing this bloody tune.
We have to wait until this thing comes up because it's dangerous and we are out of food. Oh, okay.
It's official, a ballistic missile. Couldn't get this missile. I blow through stone like a 6-foot chisel. So give it a shiver when you hear that sizzle. For shizzle, take a listen. It's a premonition on my mission.
Death by demolition. If I don't come home,
There's
the
a sign
sign
in my
I'm
kitchen
missing.
to describe why I'm missing.
Gone fishing.
White hot raps. I got stacked sometimes when I die. I drop tracks. I got a lot. Hustle up. Fight off cats.
Aren't they though? Yeah. Okay, so I have 2 neighboring villages. And that looks like it might be something down there. So we have to wait for daytime. Let's get some pants first.
Do you enjoy watching our videos? Well, guess what? You can help us make videos. Click the link to find out how.
Come suicide bomb, take control. Yeah, do you know don't mine at night?
Got my helmet on my head. Figure out what that zombie said. Lava all over the room. Got a half heart left, man. I am doomed. Don't have any iron bars. My picture's
We're gonna
broken
run to the
into
neighboring
shards.
village.
Scary noise. What should I do? Go left or right?
And
I'll have
pray.
to choose. Visions of last time flash inside my mind. I'm scared. Oh well. And I'm pretty sure
There's the
a
sheep.
big creeper
Okay, or we're gonna
right
sheep.
there. Don't
Mine at night. Know you're looking at that cave and you're feeling kinda brave. Go to bed, you'll be alright. Don't mine at night.
There's nothing that is gonna change if you just wait until the day. Zombies wanna eat your brain. Don't mind at night. I know it's me you're gonna thank. Make a bed, it's not too late. 3 wall and 3 wooden planks. Don't mind at night. How many times I have to say, drop the pick and walk away. Hey, whoa, don't mind at night. Don't mind at night. Don't mind at night.
It is fucking dark.
Stomach's all tied up in knots. This labyrinth, I'm getting lost. This is really getting old. Found like 2 pieces of coal. Down one way, there's just stone. Monsters won't leave me alone. Down another, there's some lava, and of course I get home. Remember last time I tried to mine at night? I failed so bad. I lost all my stuff. It was really tough. That's it. Rage quit. Don't mind at night. I know you're looking at that cave and you're feeling kind of brave. Go to bed, you'll be alright. Don't mind at night. There's nothing that is gonna change if you just wait until the day. Zombies wanna eat your brain. Don't mind at night. I know it's me you're gonna thank. Make a bed, it's not too late.
Kick the shit out of him, Wolf.
Don't mind at night. How many times and walk away. Hey, whoa, don't mind at night. Don't mind at
Really? Rotten sticker. Oh, I got a wolf head. Nice.
Don't mind at night. I know you're looking
Really?
at that cave and you're feeling kind of brave. Go to bed, you'll be alright. Don't mind at night. There's nothing that is gonna change if you just wait until the day. Zombies wanna eat your brains. Don't mind at night. I know it's me you're gonna thank. Make a bed, it's not too late. 3 wool and 3 wooden planks. Don't mind at night. How many times I have to say, drop the pick and walk away. Hey, whoa, don't mind at night. Don't mind at night.
I'm not near you, bear. I'm not near you. I'm not fucking with you.
I hear him outside the door, I won't let them in. Cause I've done this before, they are not my friends. I got a chest full of gold ingots and diamonds. I'm getting tired of the mobs trying to find a way in. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Zombies go reviling. Spiders trying to get in. Sometimes you gotta stay in.
Get away from my house.
Trying to
Take control now.
Creepers will explode now. Why don't you just go around? Get away from my house. Got my iron sword now. Sun's about to go down. I can't even go around. Hey, hey. Get away from my house. Get away from my house. Morning comes and I think that it's safe outside. But I see a
Freaking skeleton trying to hide. Let's see if the village to the east is nicer.
fast before it's too late. Let the sun burn them up and I celebrate. Sometimes you gotta stay in.
Yeah, it's pretty much directly east.
Spiders trying to get in. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Get away from my house. Trying to take control now. Creepers will explode now. Why don't you just go around? Get away from my house. Got my iron sword now. Sun's about to go down.
I love that mod.
Even go around. Hey, hey. Get away
It's a falling trees mod, and it makes it so I only have to chop out the bottom, and the rest goes shoom.
Got a lot of zombies out there, wanna get in my pad. If they try to break into my house, then I'm gonna get mad. Spiders all around trying to climb in the bag. And there's a bunch of creepers coming, I see through the glass. Bow and arrow, shoot 'em up, iron sword slash. Mikasa's overrun, so I better think fast. They coming in the side, I'm ready for combat. It's my house, time to take out the trash. Get away from my house, trying to take
Ooh, a hobbit hole.
now. Creepers will explode now. Why don't you just go around? Get away from my house. Got my iron sword now. Sun's about to go down. I can't even go around. Hey, hey. Get away, get away. Get away from my house. Get away, get away. Get away from my house.
Yeah, just waking up
Okay.
in the morning in the new world. I'll be honest,
honest with you, I just want to explore. But it makes me want to do more. So let's get down to it. Mine or creatures of the night just want to see me fail. Off trying to freeze hell.
Some of us play for the thrill ride, and others play just to build. But I do it for the block most people only dream of. Every time I fall, it's only making my pick strong. And I'll be in the mind with my pit, baby, till the end or till you hear the sound of my tool breaking. Until heroin casts a spell that'll send you to the depths of hell. Until you spawn at home, what you gonna do now? Take my pick and my sword.
Gonna search until I'm bored. Can't remember what we thought of that one, so let's give it a shot.
Dig this hole, and that's when it came to me. Suddenly, amazingly, I am a miner. I am a miner. Here comes the miner. And that's when it came to me. Suddenly, amazingly, I am a miner.
Oh, that's actually pretty.
And if I can last with bombs around, there's no reason you should ever have your health down. 2 blocks high and my skin is kind of brown.
That's
Hailing from
kinda
the
cute.
bedrock, 60 blocks below the ground. And the sun is going down. I need to get in somewhere fast. And now I'm yelling. Where's
And
my
I'm not
left
using
hand?
it.
Gonna take
That's
a
kinda
couple
cute.
left clicks and my right hand for the mobs to see I'm not the one who's got it bad. Until heroin casts a spell that'll send you to the depths of hell. Until you spawn at home, what we gonna do now? Take my pick and my sword. Gonna search until I'm bored. Give me coal, dig this hole, and that's when it came to me. Suddenly, amazingly, I am a miner. I am a miner. Here comes the miner. And that's when it came to me.
Yeah, I talk more in my streams.
Amazingly, I am a miner. What we gonna be? What we gonna be? What we
We're gonna be, what we gonna be, y'all. Gonna be, what we gonna be, what we gonna be, y'all. What we gonna be.
If you fall, pick yourself up.
And a beast is awful. I wish Dragon Dance worked.
Take my pick and my sword. Gonna search until I'm bored.
Yeah, well, that was like the Mass Effect stream, wasn't it? I was trying not to die. Plus, there's a lot more talking going on in the game. Here, it's just me and the zombies, but they're not great conversation partners.
Here comes the miner. And that's when it came to me. Suddenly, amazingly, I am a miner. Until heroin casts a spell that'll send you to the depths of hell.
It's actually kind of nice.
Spot in your bed, what we gonna do now?
Give me 2 seconds. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, no, I turned it off. I had someone come in. It just gets a little finicky getting stuck back on. Okay, this is a stupid big village. I'm uncomfortable. Anyways, we're going back to our familiar friend. It likes to get stuck in the off position, which is a very obnoxious feature. Anyways. Yeah, it's just a very jarring village to be in. Oh, that one goes on for a while. Huh. Aw, hi buddy. Are you giving the villagers gifts? You're so sweet. There's a lot of nimblets in this village, huh? Am I hunkering down here for the night? Probably. What did I loot? That's pretty solid. It's crops. Hi. Oh, Dragon Hearted, yeah, it's really nice. I'm going the wrong way. Hi, Bear. No, I'm getting some vines. I'm not fucking with you.
Been hurting lately, so lonely now. You make my head spin, spinning. I'm dizzy now. What's on the menu? It smells so sweet, and I've been saving, turn up the heat, yeah. 'Cause I really been needing your blood, wanna be covered in your blood. I can tell that you wanna stay, oh baby. It's a shame our worlds are apart, 'cause I wanna see you are apart, and I won't let you get away. Feel like just breathe, 'cause we're here to get you back. We're right here, we're hungry, and we hope that you will keep us free. Just go in and out of it, bake you all night. Need a little savory in my diet. Feel like
Okay, next step. Make a bed. And plant a few more crops.
your broken pieces. I'll leave them up, and you'll be baking.
We need to get a little more established. Then we'll build a road down to the lake so we can go fishing on the daily. Because we're gonna need to do that to survive.
'Cause I really been needing your blood, wanna be covered in your blood. I can tell that you wanna stay, oh baby. My worlds are apart, 'cause I wanna see you are apart, and I won't let you get away. Feel like just breathe, 'cause we're here to get you family. Right here, we're hungry, and we hope that you will keep us free. In the bed of your make you all night. Need a little savory in my diet. Feel like just cheese. We're here to get you family. We'll eat your family. Put some cheese on it, and that's a guarantee.
Yes, I totally want that.
Baby, give it some peace. Yeah, that's just who I am. I really gotta eat. Wanna be so close that I can feel your heartbeat. Do you wanna see my face? My friend named Zayn, I aim. You can take my stage, no honor on your back. Feel like we're not here to get you family. We're right here, we're hungry, and we came in all the glory. Just come out of that oven, we got all night. There's no need for something on your life. Feel like say cheese. We're not here to get you family. Family, I won't eat your family. 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 I won't eat your family.
Okay, time to make the bed. Just the one. You are correct, I can go fishing.
a fire, not apart. He practiced since the start. Poseidon made it look so easy. The nexus holds us by our souls, and water is our home. Maybe we can stop this treason.
There's no nexus, there will be nothing left.
A shell of a plan can help us save the rest. If it's in deep, we better start to run. It's on us, it can be undone, yeah. We might stand by me when all hell is trying to blind me. We might
Ta-da!
find me with your fight. It lets us save our call. We might stand by
I have a better idea.
when all hell is trying to blind me. Fall, we might, they can find me with your fight.
Atlantis can save our crown.
Atlantis, Atlantis,
Perfect.
Atlantis can save our crown. Atlantis, Atlantis, Atlantis can save our crown.
We're under fire, not apart. He practiced since the start. Poseidon made it look so easy. The nexus holds us by our souls, and water is our home. Maybe we can stop this treason.
If there is no nexus, there would be nothing left. Nothing left. A shell of a plan can help us save the rest. Save the rest. It's in deep, we better start to run. Start to run.
Here's our smoker. And we will use that for our food. Okay. There's my wolf head. My big scary wolf head. Okay.
Running through the dark, so unprepared. I know who you are, so I'm not scared. You can take my life, but I'll be back. And when you think you're safe, I'll be there. You'll never see my face, but I'll be there. And when you think you won, just turn around.
Yeah, we'll just put all our stone and shit here too. Hello, Wolfhead. You're my friend. I am a depressing individual if you're my friend.
If you make it through all my traps, remember who I am and just turn back. You never stand a chance. Just give up while you still can. And when you think you're safe, I'll be there. You'll never see my face, but I'll be there. And when you think you won, just turn around.
To avoid the jumping bullshit, we're gonna put you there.
I'm so glad you're here, waited forever. The smell of fear is worse than ever. Wait, what is that? It's not supposed to happen. Oh no. I'll be back.
I see some of these Minecraft singers are really fucking good singers. Come on. See you later, G.
Well, we have to prepare.
And yeah, I'm a big nerd. I bet it was so much fun. I'm sorry, I'm bad at taking compliments. I'm working on it.
What I say, and everything will be fine.
My daddy once told me that we would not
Not
be
be
ready,
ready, and I didn't know just what he meant.
He was looking kinda scared with his eyes and his beard and his finger scratching his forehead. Well, the battle is coming and it won't stop coming. Have to prepare and never go running. We will be fighting but not for fun. Your sword gets better but your head gets dumb. There's so much to do, so much to kill. So what's wrong with going outside now? You never live if you don't go. You'll never win if you don't show. Hey now, you're a fighter. Get your sword on.
You should sing these at your brother's F.
You're stronger. Get the monsters. Don't die. And you should always keep strong. Down in hell is where they belong. It's a dark place, and they say it gets worse. They are very strong now, but they will get stronger. But the way we fight must be flawless. Judging by the mobs of the Indian forest. The traps we put are getting pretty good. The mobs will get high, so you might as well shoot. Our world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way we do it, and we never get bored. Oh! Hey now, you're a fighter. Get your sword on, go fight. Hey now, you're stronger. If the monsters don't die, and you should always be strong. Down in hell is where they belong.
Just burst into your brother's room and start scream singing. That would be the funniest thing, actually.
Hey now, you're a fighter. Get your sword on, go fight. Hey now, you're stronger than the monsters. Don't die, and you should always keep strong. Down in hell, my daddy once asked, could I spare some wood for now? We need to concentrate and kill them all.
Kill the mobs, what a concept. Could've used a little fool myself, and we could now use a little change.
Well, the battle is going and it will stop going. Have to think now and never go running. We will be fighting but not for fun. The mobs get less but your head gets dumb. So much to
Oh, you should burst into your brother's room singing these songs, yeah.
you'll never live if you don't go. You'll never win if you don't show.
The next time he annoys you, just be like, I'm gonna scream sing.
Sword on, go fight. Hey now, you're stronger. Get the monsters, don't die.
Who is he to ban you? Sit on him, you're the big sister. Although I'm pretty sure he's bigger than you, like physically. Everyone is. I'm gonna send you a song that you should sing at him. Be like, you can't ban me from singing. I'll ban you. Call him a crazy monkey, too.
All my life, every single day, taking photos, I wanna get away. Maybe if I just close my eyes,
Listen, I do appreciate Urdu slang, like, so much.
Something strong to make another soul. Maybe I would just make armor. What's that shining? Looks like a diamond. I'm so excited. I'll be
Oh, I've introduced like several people to Mahira, Sanam, and like all of them, you know, fucking, I can't pronounce their names. But, you know, fucking, I'm not gonna malign her name, so it's gonna be like Zara's face claim. Everyone thinks she's really pretty. Like, stupid pretty, and I'm like, yes, she is. And of course Dia, because Dia is one of the prettiest ladies known to mankind.
I guess I wasn't meant to win. I'm sick and tired of striking out. I won't be needing this again. Wait, what's that shining in that house?
Deepika? Deepika Padukone. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Are you laughing at my pronunciations? That's mean. Why are you mean?
You are unsure, don't know what for. You're turning heads when you walk to the theater. They will blow up, so don't run up. My house is gone, see enough. Everyone else in the world can see it. Everyone else but you. You need to light up the world like everyone else. The way you fight music gets me overwhelmed. But when you smile at the world, it ain't hard to tell. You don't know. Creepers are terrible. So when I can see, you'll understand why they are all called enemies. Right now I'm looking at you and I can't believe you don't know. Creepers are terrible. Watching is unbearable.
Oh, giggle at me all you want.
Come on, don't even try to get some light. You just burn some gold. I don't know why you wanna die. You won't listen to me like it's lies. Everyone else in the world, everyone else but you. You need to light up the world like everyone else. So when you fight creepers, it gets me overwhelmed.
Yeah, giggle at the dumb American, go for it. But yeah, everyone thinks she's really pretty, and I'm like, yes, duh, she's gorgeous. It's fucking scary how gorgeous she is. It's like unfair how pretty she is. But yeah, no, I was watching Mahira dance and sing, obviously, and she is just unbelievably gorgeous. Like, amazing voice, amazing dancing, and just a beautiful woman, and I'm smitten. Sorry, not sorry. I'm just over here, like, catatonic from prettiness.
Floating on a cloud and I won't come down.
No.
I just need to come on.
Goddamn bastard. That was my tree.
I'm falling in love with these biomes. Just a little further, there's my home.
Oh yeah, Sam too. Yeah, they're all so pretty. Are you gonna keep laughing at me when I mispronounce things?
If you want diamonds, you have to pretend. Now when I look around, I can't even spot a tree. How is it possible? Has so much greed. When we started off small, just a cobblestone wall, but then kept our mind.
Mahura. Is that how you say it? Sassmonger? Fucker. Kinda punch you in the tit, I will.
zombie use a nasty chicken plucker.
A saddle, nice.
Jimmy on, never stood man. I got a whole bunch of raw chicken right here for you. You're greedy and selfish, but at least it's quicker than digging huge tons all day just for one or two. Oh yeah, I'm gonna build it, that's my plan, my
I can't listen to her sing because it is super copyrighted, so we're just gonna pull up something else. Oh, jeez, ow.
Flames began licking.
Okay, here we go.
On the 6th of July, 1944, the circus came to Hartford, Connecticut. Excited residents crowded into the Big Top to watch a performance unrivaled in that day and age. Trained lions and tigers, daredevil stunts, a menagerie of exotic creatures, and a series of acrobatic marvels. Around 7,000 people filed into the huge canvas enclosure to enjoy the show. But before the afternoon's entertainment could draw to a close, one of the worst temporary building fires in US history would claim the lives of nearly 170 of the audience. In the
Come on,
1940s,
fishies.
circuses were rather different than they are today. The Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus was one of the biggest in the country. It travelled all over the mainland United States by train, setting up and performing for a few days at a time near major population centres. Its Big Top was among the biggest in the world at the time, with capacity enough for 9,000 spectators around 3 parallel rings. The appearance of the circus was, for many residents, a rare treat. The Second World War had been raging for several years, and so chances for fun were few and far between. Anyone who wanted to visit would have had to make use of rationed gasoline to get there, and might have struggled to find time out from demanding work for the war effort. Because many men were serving overseas, it was mainly women and children in attendance that day. The circus itself was also impacted by war. Resources were scarce and transport was often disrupted. The movement of munitions and supplies for the war took priority over everything else. In fact, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus had planned to arrive in Hartford and be set up by the afternoon of the 5th for their first show. Because of transport delays, they had to cancel this performance, something which many circus folk considered a bad omen. They must have breathed a sigh of relief when the evening show on the 5th of July went off without a hitch. It wasn't until the next day that disaster would strike. The 6th of July was a hot, dry day, with temperatures inside the Big Tops stifling. Nevertheless, people flooded into the circus, more than 7,000 of them. Crowds filtered in through a small number of main entrances and took their seats on bleachers all around the performance area. Nobody knows, even to this day, how the fire began. It may have been deliberate arson or a discarded match or cigarette. Whatever the cause, the flames began licking at the southern side of the tent not long after the performance began. The fire resisted the attempts of ushers to put it out with buckets of water, and spread from near the ground to the top of the canvas sidewall of the tent. There, it licked against the roof and began to spread with incredible speed. The spread was, in fact, so rapid that many survivors describe it as a fireball or explosion. While we don't know what caused the initial fire, we do know what caused it to spread so fast. The Big Top was made of 2 types of canvas. The sidewalls were plain fabric and had no fireproofing at all. The roof, on the other hand, was made of fireproof canvas, but fireproof canvas which had been soaked in a mixture of paraffin and gasoline in order to protect it against rain, a waterproofing process that was quite normal and accepted at the time.
Oh yeah, fireproof, soaked in gasoline.
A fire was not a totally unexpected possibility. In fact, the circus had suffered several in the past, although miraculously none had resulted in human fatalities. A terrible fire had wiped out most of their animal menagerie just 2 years before, and on another occasion a circus tent of theirs had burned to the ground, although thankfully without a single casualty. Circus staff were aware of the possibility of fire. To mitigate it, seatmen were positioned under each set of bleachers, where there were also large buckets of water. Whenever a dropped match or cigarette set a sidewall smouldering, they would quickly put it out. This precaution was, it's clear in retrospect, totally insufficient. When it was just the sidewall burning, the evacuation was relatively orderly. The circus band quickly started playing Stars and Stripes Forever,
Yeah.
a pre-agreed emergency song which served the dual purpose of calming the crowd and alerting all circus staff that something was wrong. Ushers moved people towards the exits as quickly as they could. Getting all 7,000 people out seemed manageable, until the fire reached the roof and rippled across the paraffin-soaked canvas in a giant fireball.
Yes, it's soaked in paraffin. It's
The
fucking...
remaining audience members suddenly found themselves trapped under a vast, burning sheet that
Yeah.
threatened to collapse at any moment. Panic ensued. You might...
Okay, pausing just so I can yell. Yes, if you soak your fucking rooftop in paraffin and gasoline, then you are no longer under a fireproof canvas, you are under a waterproof canvas. And a fucking enjoyable canvas. Jeez. Sorry, rant over.
think that a circus tent is a relatively easy building to escape from, and many people did indeed manage to get to safety by crawling under the canvas sidewalls. In this particular case, though, escape wasn't necessarily easy for everyone. Many people were seated high up on bleachers and had to jump to the ground before they could squeeze under a sidewall. The main exits quickly became horrifically crowded. There were only a few of these available. Several others were blocked by large metal tunnels which had been fed in from outside the tent so that circus animals could be safely moved into the ring. These long metal cages would have been removed just minutes later, but the fire developed so rapidly that there was no chance to do so. Many people had to clamber bodily over the tunnels in order to get to safety. Elsewhere, unsecured wooden seats became a chaotic jumble that tripped people trying to escape. As the fire spread and burned through support ropes, poles began to fall. Within a very short space of time, the whole roof of the tent collapsed down onto anyone who had not escaped. From the beginning of the fire until total destruction was less than 10 minutes. By the time many fire engines arrived on the scene, it was already too late. The death toll recorded in the aftermath of the fire was 168, a number which included one recorded death to cover a collection of partial remains that could not be attributed to an individual human. 3 more people died of their injuries in the months which followed, and many survivors bore both physical and psychological scars from the event for the rest of their lives. Even taking place in wartime, the Hartford Circus fire was a shocking disaster.
Yeah, there's
These were
152
ordinary
dead,
people,
under 90. Jeez,
many
yeah.
of them children, who had been enjoying one of the very few forms of entertainment still available to them. One death, which particularly captured the attention of the public, was that of Little Miss 1565, an 8-year-old victim who could not be positively identified, and so was named for the number on her mortuary tag. Her picture appeared in papers across the country, but it wasn't until decades after the fire, in 1991, that she was finally identified as Eleanor Emily Cook, and her remains were moved to a plot beside her brother, who had also died in the fire. Another image also circulated widely after the tragedy, that of clown Emmett Kelly. He was putting on his makeup when the fire began, and is pictured in his full costume, hauling buckets of water to damp down the flames. While many performers and circus staff were injured in the fire, none were known to have died. Likewise, the performing animals, a vital part of the circus, mostly escaped unscathed. The lions had just been herded off stage when the fire began, and so were saved with only minor burns. Had the incident begun just a few minutes earlier, the presence of panicking animals would have added considerably to the chaos of the evacuation, and no doubt increased the already terrible human cost. As it was, camels, zebras, and elephants had to be led away from the circus lot into surrounding streets to keep them from taking flight as fire engines arrived to put out the flames. Naturally, an investigation followed the disaster. It was found that Hartford was not lax when it came to fire safety. Indeed, they had recently invested hugely in installing new fire escapes in the city. However, the circus seemed to have gone by under the radar. There had never been a problem with fire there before, as far as Hartford officials knew, and so it wasn't something they planned for. The Big Top had been inspected to ensure that it was of sound construction, but had not been assessed for flammability or fire safety. The cause of the fire was never officially determined. Many circus folk were convinced it was arson, while others blamed a sparking spotlight. However, multiple investigations concluded that the most likely cause was a dropped match or cigarette. Several members of the circus were charged with involuntary manslaughter and were given prison terms of up to 5 years apiece. All of them were released early due to good behaviour or for medical reasons. The circus itself, while it did not accept responsibility, was eager to provide compensation, and for almost 10 years willingly set aside all profits so that they could pay Hartford whatever amount the city deemed fit to pass on to victims of the fire for their loss and suffering.
Yeah.
When the circus did go on to other performances, it was with many modifications. Local authorities across the country now required proof that circus tents were fireproof, and threw their weight behind enforcing smoking bans.
The loud noises of
something they'd
vines.
never particularly cared about before. Fire inspectors started routinely turning up to check on circuses, even in cities where they never previously had. The fire, although terrible, had made the country aware that such a disaster could happen, and that steps were required to prevent it. A permanent memorial to the disaster was put in place around the 50th anniversary of the fire. A metal plaque marks where the centre of the main ring once was, and a circle of trees outlines what was the footprint of the Big Top. Current fire safety standards make it likely that, in the US at least, this is the last memorial to the victims of the circus fire that will ever need to be built.
That's the hope. Well, that is a charmingly low-flying plane. Yeah, they are.
On the 4th of February 1912, at the Niagara Falls on the border between America and Canada, 3 innocent people were swept to their deaths in the raging waters. The 3 were tourists who had been enjoying the then perfectly ordinary practice of walking across the base of the falls on a bridge of ice that sometimes formed there in winter. The Niagara Falls is actually a set of 3 waterfalls, the largest of which, known as Horseshoe Falls, straddles the border between Canada and America. The site has been earmarked for preservation by both countries since the late 1800s, and constant efforts have been made ever since to preserve the condition of the area. Thousands of people visit each year to witness the natural beauty and incredible power of the falls themselves. Horseshoe Falls alone is the most powerful waterfall in North America, and when the flow of all the falls at Niagara is combined, an impressive 170,000 cubic meters, or 6 million cubic feet, of water passes through the falls each minute of the day. Every winter, huge quantities of ice, snow, and slush are also washed over the falls. Sometimes this mass of frozen material flows on down the river, but sometimes ice floes crash together and freeze in place, forming a solid ice bridge from one shore to another at the base of the falls.
And you should not walk on
1912
those.
was one such year, and it was an exciting event. Enterprising businessmen were quick to erect shacks and shanties on the ice, offering visitors brave enough to step out onto the frozen falls the opportunity to buy refreshments, have their photograph taken, ride horses on the ice, or even stay for the night on the falls themselves.
No, stupid.
People came in droves. While there wasn't quite the same infrastructure there is today, back in 1912, there were provisions for tourists. You could ride out to the falls in horse-drawn carriages or by train, and once you were there you'd find a mechanical elevator ready to carry you from the upper reaches to the lower. The frozen falls were no doubt an entrancing and perhaps intimidating sight, but if you were bold enough to stroll out onto the ice, you could enjoy the kind of wondrous views you'd never get in summer. People would visit the falls with their lovers, send home postcards, and play on the ice. There are even pictures of people sledding on the huge mounds of ice and snow which form at the falls.
Don't do that. It's stupid.
Many of those playing on the ice bridge would have been reassured by its sheer scale and solidity. In 1912, the ice was 2.5 meters, or 8 feet thick in places, and was firmly anchored to both shores, providing a swath of snowy ground almost a mile wide on which to roam. There seemed no reason to fear its integrity.
There are many reasons.
And yet, at around noon on the 4th of August...
Okay, pausing this real quick, just again to yell. The thing about frozen water on a river, stream, waterfall, whatever, under any body of water that moves, is that it is not reliable at all, because you do not know what's going on underneath the ice. In still water, it's safer. On moving water, it's bad. On Niagara fucking Falls, it's dangerous. But of course, they didn't know that. Anyways.
With barely a groan by way of warning, the bridge gave way, dissolving in mere minutes into dozens of moving ice floes. There were 35 people out on the bridge at the time, many of whom were
just to rewind, this is why.
Almost a mile wide on which to roam. There seemed no reason to fear its integrity. And yet, at around noon on the 4th of August, with barely a groan by way of warning, the bridge gave way, dissolving in mere minutes into dozens of moving ice floes. There were 35 people out on the bridge at the time, many of whom were able to scramble to safety. 4 were left behind. Among these 4 were Ignatius Roth and Burrell Hecock, who were having a snowball fight when the slide began. The two friends sprinted for the nearby Canadian shore, but found themselves cut off by a short stretch of icy water. Roth didn't hesitate. He jumped in and waded across to where several onlookers were waiting to haul him out and warm him up. Hecock was about to follow, but before he could jump, he heard a cry for help coming from behind him. He hesitated a moment, and then turned back, giving up his chance of escape. The cry had come from Mr. Eldridge Stanton. His wife, Clara Stanton, had collapsed from exhaustion as the pair sprinted towards the Canadian shore, and he was unable to carry her himself. Seeing this, Hecock ran back towards the pair and helped pick up Mrs. Stanton. Together, the three turned again towards the Canadian shore, but it was now too late. The ribbon of water which separated them from safety had become a stream. They were trapped on a moving ice floe in the middle of a raging torrent of water.
Yep.
It was a slow but not peaceful ride. For at least an hour, the floe rocked and pitched as it moved downstream, and at one stage broke into 2 giant pieces. One piece grounded itself on the American shore, but in a stroke of bad luck, all 3 of the stranded tourists were on the other piece of ice, which continued to surge downstream. A little later, it broke apart again, this time dividing the 3. Hecock on one floe, and the Stantons on another. Witnesses report that they waved goodbye to one another, as the river bore them apart. Further down the watercourse, several more permanent bridges spanned the Niagara River. The trapped tourists passed below one bridge before a rescue effort could be mounted, but by the time they reached the next bridge, firemen, police officers, and railway workers had assembled there with ropes at the ready. Hecock was first to grab a line. With his weight, however, the rope stretched enough to dip him into the freezing water, where he was battered by several moving blocks of ice. Nonetheless, he managed to hang on as the rope was drawn up towards the bridge. The watching crowd cheered, anticipating at least one rescue. Burrell Hecock, however, was exhausted. His grip failed, causing him to slip down the rope. Despite a desperate effort, even trying to grip the rope with his teeth for more purchase, he couldn't hold on, and fell before he could be hauled up to the bridge. He disappeared into the rapids, and was never seen again. This left only the Stantons, whose ice flow was soon to be swept into the rapids too. As they passed under the first bridge, Mr. Stanton seized a dangling rope and tried to tie it around his wife's waist, only for the rope to break when it pulled taut. At the next and final bridge, he grabbed a second line and again began tying it around his wife, before suddenly giving it up as futile. The Stantons knelt down on the ice, kissed, and held one another as they entered the rapids. They were, very quickly, swallowed up by the mist and foam. It is safe to assume that Hecock and the Stantons did not survive their respective plunges into the Niagara River, although their bodies were never found. Hecock was remembered as a hero for his willingness to turn back and help someone in need, even when it meant risking his own life. And as for the Stantons, who went so calmly to their deaths, they had been married for 6 years, and had visited the Niagara Falls once in summer and once in winter for each of them. They died together, and in a place they clearly loved.
What's the face for?
For several weeks, a watch was kept on the river and its many whirlpools, in the hope that bodies might be recovered. They never were. The Ice Bridge disaster marked the last time that people were allowed or encouraged to cross the Niagara River at the base of the falls when it froze in winter. Ice bridges still sometimes form across the river, although they are rarely as thick or solid as they were 100 years ago. Nowadays, the tourist amenities at the falls are rather different. You can enjoy everything from a river cruise to ziplining, to a ride on the Niagara Skywheel, or a swim in an indoor water park. In addition to all these things, visitors will find at least one lingering trace of the Ice Bridge disaster. On an observation deck on the Canadian side of the falls, there is a small memorial to the events of the 4th of February 1912. A plaque set into the wall reads as follows: To the memory of Burrell Hecock of Cleveland, Ohio, aged 17 years, who lost his life in an heroic attempt to rescue Mr. and Mrs. Eldridge Stanton of Toronto, Ontario, when the ice bridge in the gorge immediately below was swept down the Niagara River and into the Whirlpool Rapids. February 4th, 1912.
17. And that, kids, is why we do not go on ice floes over running water. Ever. Don't be stupid. Frozen river is always dangerous. Anything that has a fucking current is dangerous. Doesn't matter if it's frozen or not, but yeah.
On the 2nd of August, 1973, 3 boys were playing on the miniature golf course outside the Summerland Leisure Centre on the Isle of Man. They ducked into an empty ticket booth so that they could share a cigarette. The oldest boy in the group was just 14. Their only worry at the time was being caught smoking, but they would soon have bigger concerns. A dropped match started a fire, which grew rapidly out of control. Panicking, the 3 boys fled. They would live to see another day, but dozens of people who were inside Summerland when the fire began would not. Constructed in 1971, Summerland was a unique complex, considered extremely advanced for its time. The building, large enough to accommodate 10,000 people,
Okay,
consisted
Elsa.
of a swimming pool, also known as the Aquadrome, multiple restaurants and bars, a miniature golf course, a select
Hey, little Miss Elsa, you cry when it gets below 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Just a reminder.
aquarium, a theatre, an underground disco, a sauna, a roller skating rink, a small fairground, and an amusement arcade.
And no, they're not different documentaries. These are about 10 to 15 minutes long. So they're not very long at all. They're just little tidbits.
All of this was set across 5 floors in an ultra-modern building constructed mainly from metal and plastic, the bold design of which, a promotional pamphlet boasted, would set the architectural world alight. It was intended to be a one-stop, centralized holiday location, one that could compete with sunnier destinations abroad. Inside Summerland, it never rained, the wind never blew, and the temperature was never anything less than perfect. Visitors could spend the entire day inside, basking under an artificial sun, swimming in artificial pools, and enjoying a round-the-clock roster of entertainment. There was nothing else like it in the world. Of course, people flocked to the venue, 500,000 in its first year. From 1971 until 1973, many happy memories were made within the plastic walls of the complex. It was hailed by the British Tourist Authority as an outstanding tourist enterprise, a destination that was close to home and yet offered boundless entertainment and a tropical climate. For a few short years, Summerland thrived. Then, at the height of summer in 1973, the complex burned. At around 7:50 p.m. on the 2nd of August, 3 boys on holiday from Liverpool accidentally started a fire while sneaking a smoke on the miniature golf course. Panicking, they fled the scene, and the fire they had started consumed the kiosk they had been hiding in, causing it to slump against the wall of Summerland. Staff were called to the scene by worried patrons, but their response was less than ideal. They could see that the fire was licking against the outside wall of Summerland, but as far as they knew, the walls were fireproof. To them, this fire wasn't a serious issue. It was relatively small, and it was outside the complex. Certainly no cause for a mass evacuation. Instead, staff tried to fight the fire with extinguishers, hoses, and poles. A lack of any real fire safety training meant that none of them placed a call to the fire brigade. They simply weren't sure whose responsibility it was to do so, and were, in any case, sure that they could handle things themselves. Little did these staff members know that the fire was already inside the building, feeding on flammable building materials in a hidden gap between the outer and inner walls. There, unseen, it spread outward and upward, and burned hotter and hotter until, very suddenly, it burst through into the main building. At this point in time, despite the fire outside sending a huge plume of smoke into the air, new guests were still being admitted through the entrance turnstiles. The fire brigade had still not been called by anyone at the complex, although the sight of smoke had prompted people miles away to raise the alarm. Indeed, one call came via the harbour master, who was alerted by the captain of a ship out at sea. No guest inside the complex could have known that there was any cause for alarm, until, with shocking suddenness, flames erupted from the walls and raced along the ceiling of the arcade. A panicked scramble for the exits began. In many cases, staff members, who'd barely had any fire safety training, were of little help. A ride operator fled the fairground without switching off the rides, leaving several children to be rescued from a moving carousel by their parents and other onlookers. Elsewhere, an entertainer confidently assured patrons that the smoke was from nothing worse than a chip pan fire, and convinced them to remain in their seats, only to realise the severity of the situation just moments later, and begin screaming for people to run. Conditions within the building quickly became unimaginable. Firstly, the nature of the complex meant that many of the people within were part of family groups,
Yep.
but family groups that had felt quite happy to separate. While children enjoyed a magic show, parents might have gone up to another floor to relax in the solarium. When the fire burst into the building proper, then, many people began to frantically search for their families rather than to evacuate through the nearest exit. Secondly, there were only a small number of exits readily available. The rest were locked, and in some cases chained shut, ostensibly to prevent people from sneaking in without paying the entrance fee. Keys for emergency exits were supposed to be stored in glass-fronted boxes beside each set of doors, but in many cases these boxes were empty, or were situated so high up on the wall that they were out of reach for most people. In one instance, a set of fire doors was blocked by a parked car outside the building, a car that, with horrible irony, belonged to Summerland's safety officer. In many cases, in order to escape, guests had to smash windows and batter open doors with whatever was available. Finally, escaping guests had to contend with the material from which Summerland was built. The majority of the building was clad in a kind of plastic sheeting known as Oroglass.
We're almost
Survivors would later come to refer to it as horror glass. During the fire, it melted, dripping down and burning people who were trying to flee the smoke and flames. The vast majority of deaths occurred within the main part of the building. Being open plan in design, there was nothing to stop the spread of the fire, or to offer protection from smoke and hot gases. Many people died or were injured as they tried to descend from one level to another down staircases that were narrow and unprotected. Such was the crush around the few available staircases that some parents threw their children from the balconies in the hope that someone below would catch them.
I'll be right back.
Many people jumped, with a
We're gonna
few
leave
brave
this
staff
live.
members remaining at their posts until the last possible moment to catch people jumping from upper levels. One staff member even doused himself in water from a fire extinguisher so that he could stay inside the building and assist escaping guests for longer. Throughout it all, no alarm sounded. The fire had burned through the control circuit, and the fire service turned to the retrieval of bodies, a harrowing process that would take several days. In the end, 50 people lost their lives in the fire, and 80 more sustained serious injuries. An investigation was launched and identified a wealth of failings. Exits should not, under any circumstances, have been chained shut. Staff should have been given fire safety training. The fire service should have been called within 1 minute of the fire outside the building being discovered. Mistake after mistake had been made, but the greatest errors had taken place long before Summerland was even open to the public.
Oh, you're gonna hate
Because
this.
of budgetary issues during construction, multiple firms had worked on the building. The company which built the outer shell hadn't known with any certainty how the interior would be divided up, and so hadn't been able to place fire exits appropriately. Additionally, it is believed that the firm which handled the interior fitting out of Summerland might have inadvertently undone some of the fireproofing carried out by the firm which built the exterior. As well as this, materials had been chosen that were cost-effective, but which weren't sufficiently fireproof. Oroglass, for example, had been approved despite its flammability, on the basis that it would soften and fall out of its frame in the case of a fire, facilitating escape. The fire safety budget had been a matter of contention, with owners repeatedly seeking cheaper options. Sprinklers were not installed because to do so throughout the building would simply cost too much. Again and again, communication had failed, and decisions had been taken which prioritized convenience or cost reduction over human life. But despite all this, the investigation concluded that nobody was to blame. There were no villains, said the report, only many human errors and failures. This judgment, incidentally, was applied equally to the 3 boys who started the fire. They were identified and brought before a judge, where they were fined £3 each, about £30 each in today's money. The burned shell of Summerland was, eventually, demolished and rebuilt. The new Summerland was smaller and constructed from traditional materials, with a state-of-the-art alarm and sprinkler system. It eschewed the open-plan design of its predecessor and opted instead for a lower and more compartmentalized building. This new Summerland was a reflection of the impact that the fire had on the construction industry. Every lesson learned and new rule implemented was reflected in its design. The new Summerland epitomized a changed attitude towards fire safety in leisure and entertainment buildings. However, a flood in 2002 gutted the new complex, leading to its eventual demolition. Now all that remains of Summerland is a scarred cliff face. It should be hoped that the lessons learned from the fire, at such great cost, do not disappear so easily.
Yeah, just design the outside with no idea what the inside's gonna look like and hope for the best. Oh boy. Was a bad design. Skull.
On the 11th of May, 1984, a fire began inside the Haunted Castle attraction at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson Township, New Jersey. The flames spread quickly, feeding off flammable building materials and decorations. There were around 30 guests inside the attraction when the flames took hold, almost a third of whom would not make it out alive. The Haunted Castle was a walk-through attraction, packed with spooky theming. Guests would move along a series of narrow and dimly lit corridors, enjoying frequent scares along the way. These were provided by special effects including strobes and recorded sounds, as well as live actors dressed in costume who would jump out from hidden alcoves. While it was themed to resemble a crooked castle, the attraction was actually built from 16 interconnected truck trailers. These were arranged in a symmetrical configuration, with 8 on each side. Each set of 8 trailers contained a more or less identical maze of corridors.
Let's switch to the Cap Room disaster.
On the 11th of November, 2000, a fire began on board a train carrying passengers up to a ski resort in Kaprun, Austria. Automated safety systems brought the train to a halt in a tunnel midway to its destination, while almost at the same moment, the flames destroyed the hydraulic system which controlled the doors. The 162 passengers on board were now trapped twice over, locked inside a burning train that was, itself, stalled inside a smoke-filled tunnel. Despite valiant efforts on the part of many on board, the vast majority of passengers would not survive. Kaprun is a popular tourist destination with a number of attractions. Chief among these is Mount Kitzsteinhorn, a towering mountain the slopes and glaciers of which provide the opportunity for year-round skiing and other winter sports. Kaprun is perfectly situated at the foot of the mountain, an ideal destination for those who wish to enjoy as much time as possible on the slopes. The first ever mass transit system designed to carry skiers to the top of Mount Kitzsteinhorn was installed in 1965 in the form of a 3-stage aerial lift.
Sort of.
By boarding a series of small gondolas, visitors could travel a total of 3,000 meters, around 5,000 feet, to the top of the mountain, before making their way back down at their leisure. Within just 10 years, however, the popularity of snow sports in the region had grown so rapidly that a new system was needed. At great expense, a funicular railway was installed. Funicular railways are often found on very steep slopes. The basic principle of operation is simple. There are 2 cars joined by a cable. As one car descends, the other rises. In early funiculars, this was achieved by pumping water into ballast tanks under the cars, until one car was heavier than the other and could descend, pulling the other up the track as it did so. The Kaprun funicular, and many other modern installations like it, was not water-powered, but was instead driven by machinery located at the upper end of the track. It would carry visitors from Kaprun up to the Alpine Centre on the mountain, from which they could access the slopes of Mount Kitzsteinhorn. The track was nearly 4,000 metres, around 13,000 feet, in length, a significant portion of which was through a tunnel.
Danger tunnel.
This tunnel was wide enough only to accommodate a single train. Another eccentricity of the Kaprun funicular was that both the ascending and descending trains ran on the same track for most of their journey, with the tunnel only widening and the track only dividing into 2 at the place where the 2 trains would have to pass one another. The trains themselves were relatively simple. Even after a cosmetic update to a slick modern design in 1993, there were no complex systems on board. The machinery which provided power for the trains was all situated at the top of the track. The single...
Can you not hear what I'm listening to? Because, I mean, that would explain why you haven't been responding to... Oh, well, then, yeah, disaster tunnel. I don't know, I was babbling.
On-board attendant, more a conductor than a driver, would normally have little more to do than to monitor the progress of the train and open and close the doors on cue. At just after 9 AM on the 11th of November 2000, the train was running as normal. The ascending vehicle had just left the station, loaded with 161 passengers and 1 conductor. A fan heater at the rear of the train burst into flames. These flames quickly melted plastic pipes carrying hydraulic fluid, flammable hydraulic fluid. Not only did this cause the flames to spread with incredible rapidity, but it also caused the hydraulic door mechanisms to fail due to a loss of pressure.
Yep.
The train was brought to a stop by an automated safety system around 600 meters into the tunnel. Having now noticed the fire, the attendant attempted to use the control panel to open the doors and evacuate passengers, but because of the failure of the hydraulic system, was unable to do so. His efforts to manually open the doors were further hampered when the fire burned through a power cable, causing a complete blackout. In the dark, surrounded by smoke and with flames rapidly approaching, many passengers attempted to break windows in order to escape, but few were successful. The train was fitted with shatterproof acrylic panels that wouldn't yield even to repeated blows. Indeed, only a small number of passengers from the rear of the train were able to escape this way. Using ski equipment, they were able to create a hole in a window panel and clamber out onto the track. There, following the advice of one of their number, who happened to be a volunteer firefighter, they fled downwards, even though this meant passing close by the raging fire. On foot, 12 people made their way back down to the opening of the tunnel. They would be the only survivors of the disaster. Back on the train, the attendant had at last managed to manually unlock the doors. By this stage, several passengers had already been overcome by smoke and heat. Those who were still conscious spilled out into the tunnel. Quite naturally, they fled upwards, away from the source of the smoke and flames.
Stupid.
This instinct, however, would prove to be deadly.
Yeah.
The tunnel acted as a chimney, funneling smoke and heat upwards from the burning train. Nobody who fled upwards through the tunnel survived to reach the top, and indeed, smoke channeled upwards by the tunnel reached the topmost station and overwhelmed 3 people there before the building could be evacuated. Of course, funicular trains run in tandem. Thus, a descending train was also in the tunnel. Given that it was early in the morning, it was thankfully relatively empty. Nonetheless, 2 people, 1 attendant and 1 passenger on board that train, also died as a result of smoke inhalation.
I mean, they didn't know any better, but yeah, it's...
Among the 155 dead were people of many nationalities. There were holidaymakers, snow sports enthusiasts, and even a number of promising young athletes. The loss of so many lives from such a wide range of places made the Kaprun disaster a tragedy that was felt around the world. An investigation was launched into the disaster and quickly pinpointed the source of ignition. The electric fan heater which had started the fire was discovered to be a domestic unit, suitable only for households and not for moving vehicles. There were some indications too that the hydraulic lines might have been leaking into the fan heater. This fan heater was the main cause of the fire, although many other issues were brought up during the investigation. One salient point was that the funicular train had very few safety features. The acrylic windows couldn't be broken in order to allow a swift escape, and fire extinguishers were locked away in drivers' cabins. Additionally, there was no easy way for passengers to alert the attendant to a developing emergency. These things are all safety features that, even in 2000, were commonplace on other means of transport, so why were they absent here? In part, it was due to the perception that the funicular was fireproof. Being constructed primarily of aluminium and steel, and with plastic fittings, a fire was deemed unlikely. This incorrect perception was borne out by the fact that there had never been a fire on board a funicular before. It simply wasn't considered to be a danger worth planning for. The flammable nature of the hydraulic oil from the door system was, it appears, barely ever considered. 16 people were brought to trial, including a selection of employees whose responsibilities covered the operation and outfitting of the train, as well as a number of managers. Despite lengthy legal proceedings, everyone involved was eventually acquitted. It was decided that no misconduct, not even negligence, could be adequately proven. After the disaster, the burned tunnel was sealed and the remaining track demolished. To replace it, 2 new lifts were installed, a chairlift and an aerial lift with gondolas.
Good idea.
A memorial to the victims of the disaster was also inaugurated in 2004, featuring a rainbow of coloured glass strips, each of which represents a life that was lost in the tragedy. A key factor in the Kaprun disaster was that no funicular had ever caught fire before. The disaster prompted the management of funicular railways all over the world to update their...
In 1995.
No, okay. It's getting close for time for you to sleep.